What's up everyone, my name is Ale. Welcome back to my world of stocks. In today's video, I'm going to list off for you guys my top 7 most used websites and apps that I use for stock market investing and that I 100% believe that you should be using too if you're doing research and buying or selling stocks in the market. Now to simplify things, I will not be including obvious sites like Google or YouTube or investor relations pages or even brokers like Robinhood or E-Trade, because those are all things that really go without saying that you should obviously be using and you're likely already using for stock market investing. Instead, I want to give you guys 7 sites that you may not already know of or be using, and thus you get hopefully a little more value out of this video. And also, just to keep things even more simple, I'll be using screenshots from actual websites, but just know that most of these do have mobile applications if you want to download those on your phone and use them that way. Also, all of these have free versions that you can use. I don't personally pay for any of them, and I'm not sponsored by any of these, so hopefully there's no bias here. And again, I use all of these for free. I don't pay for anything. So I hope you guys enjoy it. But with that said, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into my list. All right, and kicking things off here with website number 1, that's going to be money.cnn.com, otherwise known as CNN Money or CNN Business, which, by the way, the website has nothing to do with politics. It's just a great site for stocks in general, and it's really where I often start a lot of my research just because I love how quickly I can get some basic information on a stock with a very simple, clean, and easy to use interface. Now, the quote section gives you a very clean stock chart with some basic info like the price, performance, and 52-week range, and you can even click on the chart section to get some more detailed information, including different styles, comparisons, events, technical indicators, and a lot more. The other thing that I love here is the profile section, which gives me a quick intro into what the company is and what they do, while the news section provides me with links to outside sources for all the latest news and information that is going on with a company. There's also the forecast and financial sections as well that give me more detailed information on how the company is performing and what is expected from analysts in the future. However, there are other websites that I actually prefer more for that specific information, and I'll show you what those are in just a second. But before we move on, I just want to quickly also mention the market section that is located up at the top, and this one I like because it gives me quick links to the 3 major indexes, as well as major cryptos, bonds, commodities, and even currencies. It's a great website overall, just for getting your basic info when starting some research, especially if someone recommends a company or stock and you just want to quickly look it up. I like to start there. All right, moving on to stock number 2 though, I mentioned how CNN Money gives you some links to outside news sources, but really my favorite website for all the kind of general news and company specific information, that's always been fool.com, otherwise known as the Motley Fool. I just think this is a great news specifically website that frequently updates their stock pages with numerous articles and opinion pieces from writers or staffs. It's just a great way of getting some views on a stock that you're looking at. And of course, a lot of this is subjective and opinionated because many of the writers are actually invested in some of these stocks themselves. But I think they do a pretty good job of being transparent on what they own and what their biases might be. And the articles themselves are always a lot of fun to read and explore. It's very enjoyable, especially if you don't know a lot about a certain company and you just want to learn more about their products and services. I think that's a good place to start. Now, if you've already been feeling comfortable about a company and you already know a lot about their products and services and you like everything about them, but you want to do a deeper dive into their financials to see how well they're selling and how they're performing, well, then a great website that you might want to try out is Yahoo Finance, which is the URL finance.yahoo.com. That is our 3rd site on the list. Now, this is a website that I use a lot myself, and it's also very similar to CNN Money, except that I like it more for quick views on the valuation, financials, and analyst predictions. For example, if you click on statistics, you get some of the quick info on things like the market cap, enterprise value, trailing and forward PE ratios, PEG, price of sales, their profit margins, and a lot more. By clicking on financials though, you also get their income statement, their balance sheet, and their cash flow, and they can all be expanded and broken down even further into more detailed views as well, even throughout recent years. From there, I also like to click on analysis because this gives me my revenue growth estimates for a particular stock, and these are from analysts. Now, in the case of Microsoft here, they are expected to grow their sales by over 18% this year and over 13% next year as well. Now, you can also scroll down and then you can get their EPS estimates too. So, for example, Microsoft is expected to grow their earnings per share by over 15% on average over the next 5 years. And finally, you can also get some ratings from analysts, which in this case, you've got 46 analysts covering the stock, and you can see that it's mostly rated as a buy, and their current share price is well below the average target at the moment. Now, if you're interested in hearing more from analysts though, I would actually recommend a different site. This will be site number 4, which has a ton of analyst information and just generally useful info too. And that site is called TipRanks. Ticker symbol is ticker symbol. URL is tipranks.com. Now, unfortunately, you do have to pay a subscription fee to unlock several different features, which would run you about $35 a month. However, I usually get by with just the free version on the site, and I particularly like it because I can just click on analyst forecast, for example, and I'll get various price targets and even a breakdown on the different individual analysts that are giving those targets. So I can see who they are, what their track record of success is, and I can even read a recent article that cites their price target as well. But it doesn't even stop there. There's also the news and insights tab that gives me links to a lot of different articles, and it even has a bearish and bullish filter for them. And while this next one might not be super useful, I actually think it's still like at least very fun to use, which is the Crowd Wisdom tab that shows you what retail investors are doing. For example, in the case of Microsoft, you've got over 500,000 portfolios analyzed by TipRanks, of which about 12% own Microsoft, which has increased slightly over the past month. And if you scroll down, you can even see who these individuals are, what their track record of success is, what the portfolio allocation is, what price they bought at, and you can even follow them to just like you would on social media to track their moves even further. I just think it's a really cool feature, especially if you and some friends sign up for it and keep track of each other. I can see how that would be a lot of fun. Other than that though, you also get an earnings tab with estimated EPS versus reported EPS, which is a great tool to see how well a company is performing. And of course, in the case of Microsoft, they're absolutely amazing and usually beat estimates on a very consistent basis. Plus, you have your standard dividends and financials tabs as well. And there's even an insider trading tab to see recent moves by insiders. However, that one is a bit more limited as it doesn't show you the first 5. And so for that, I actually prefer NASDAQ.com, which is our number 5 pick on our list. And if you just click on the insider trading tab here on NASDAQ.com, you'll get a summary of how many moves were made recently in either direction. And if you scroll down a bit further, you'll get a full list of all the insider trades that have been made, including the person, how many shares, what price, and how many shares they still own after buying or selling. Another thing that I love about NASDAQ is the institutional holdings tab, which in this case tells us that over 70% of Microsoft stock is owned by large financial institutions. And if you scroll down a bit further, you can also see who these institutions are, like Vanguard, BlackRock, Chase, and more, and it'll even tell you what moves they've been making recently, either buying or selling the stock, and by how much. Which, by the way, this is something that you should always keep track of because institutional buying and selling is what really controls the stock market and moves stocks up or down. Besides that, though, you also get your typical charts, news, press releases, analyst research, dividends, financials, valuations, and a lot more. It's just a great site overall. Okay, now another overall great site though that I absolutely love to use, and I use it even on a more frequent basis, is seekingalpha.com. That's our number 6 pick on the list. Now, on the summary page, you can scroll down to get excellent news and analysis from various sites, including Seeking Alpha themselves. Some of those you do have to pay for, but some of them are free, and a lot of them have a lot of useful information. Now, you can also click on other tabs like financials and earnings to get some great information as well. But really, the 2 tabs that I always use the most are the valuation and the dividends tabs. In the case of valuations, I can get the percent difference to the sector for things like their PE and PEG ratios, while on the dividends tab, I immediately get the yield, the payout ratio, the growth rate, and the growth history. And then if I want to go even deeper, there's some excellent sub tabs like the yield tab, which gives me the percent difference to the sector, as well as the yield history for the past 5 years. Unfortunately, though, you do need to sign up for the paid service to get a longer history. So for that, I instead like to use the last site on the list, which is another huge favorite of mine for accessing all kinds of different charts, and that is financecharts.com at number 7. Now, this one is completely free to use, and if you click on dividends, you can get the entire history for the yield and virtually any other metric you want to look at. So for example, say we want to see a chart of their cash and short-term investments. Well, all we have to do is click on the balance sheet tab, then click on cash and short-term investments, and that immediately gives us a chart of that history. It's so cool and it's so useful, and I actually just started using this site recently, and it's already become one of my most favorite and used sites really ever. Anyway, that's going to do it for my list of favorite sites that I like to use for stock market investing. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my choices, and if there's any that you think I left off that should be included, let me know down below. Maybe I can make a follow-up video on some other sites or apps that you guys recommend as well. But anyway, with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, hope you're all doing well, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.